So this is starting mid-process in the repair job, but this is a 2015 S63. So this particular car is a twin-turbo 4.6 liter V8, and so as we get going here, this is the driver's side valve cover, and this is where the oil filter housing lives on this side. So that had to come off so I could get the front covers off. And then in the back, there's a mechanical vacuum pump on this side. And then on the passenger side, there are two high pressure fuel pumps that are attached to the back, as well as another cam cover back there. And then the front is pretty standard timing cover. And then we'll come over here and look at some parts that are already off the car. Various parts, trying to stay organized. And then here are the parts. This is the high pressure fuel pumps and some other miscellaneous brackets and idler pulleys and more parts, more bolts. Lots of stuff that's come off this car at this point. And these are the timing covers and then the cam adjuster magnets. So a little further in now, and this valve cover is getting ready to come off, and this valve cover is ready to come off. I've already got the fuel injectors pulled, the fuel rail pulled off, and here's all the bolts for all the valve covers, and some more brackets, and again more brackets and more bolts. And then over here on this side, injectors and fuel rail out. There's my oil filter housing. Now we actually have the valve covers completely off. So there's two sets of bolts on each one in the middle, and it's actually an integrated bearing cap for the camshaft built into the valve covers. That's why there's so many bolts for the valve cover. So this is the valve cover that you can see. It's been removed, and you can see the orange timing chain guides for the cam-to-cam chain. And then this is going back together with it. This is the driver's side all put back together. There's my oil filter housing. Still have some coolant lines and some oil lines to put on, and then obviously the serpentine belt needs to be put back on. And the passenger side is prepped and ready to go back on as well. And this is about 13 hours into the job, and this job pays 18.6 hours. So it's a very lengthy install over several days, but I'm making good progress and I'm ready to get this thing done with. And then this is the part of the video where I start working a lot faster, and I'm putting the sealant on the valve covers and making sure I'm tracing all of the different bolt holes and attachments for everything. This took probably about 5 minutes or so to lay out all the sealant for it, and then we'll grab some bolts. We'll get it installed into the car, and I will, in a minute, I'll show you my trick to the valve cover bolts. Visual trick to make sure that the 90 degrees is actually executed correctly. But the first torque spec is 12 newton meters, and then that's followed by 90 degrees. So the 90 degrees part, they make digital torque wrenches that can show you the angle, but I like to kind of do this old school visual trick, and just has a nice end result where all of the bolts, it just kind of looks like everything locks down and tightens towards each other. So I'll show you that trick in just a second. And then here's the visualization of everything actually torqued down. So it's the top row and the second row face down after they've been turned 90 degrees, and then the third row and the bottom row face upward. So everything points to the exact center line of the valve cover. Just like I said, has a really nice look to it. So if anybody goes in behind me, they can see that I've actually torqued these properly. So here I am following up on the 90 degree torque spec, and so tightening everything down 90 degrees, and then here's the end result afterwards. So you can see the middle row faces down, and then the third row faces up, and like I said, just has a really cool look that they're kind of everything's pointing together, and just looks great. Everything points directly to the center line like I showed you. And finally we'll come back around. My centrifuge cover's on, my high pressure fuel pumps are on, and the front cover is on this side. My vacuum pumps is reinstalled on the back of the engine. So my plan for the morning is going to be getting the fuel injectors put back in. I still have a couple of coolant lines and oil lines and stuff at the bottom. And then obviously rerouting serpentine belt, and then one more intercooler piping. But overall, I'm in pretty good shape for the night. Here I am completely finished, and I just have these air boxes sitting on here. I'll give you a little peek of what the fuel rails look like. And we're going to do a test fire on it and make sure everything's together and I don't have any weird check engine light codes. And then, oh, here we are all the way back together now. So we can get it running and off to a test drive. The car's a little dirty because we've had it at the shop for a couple weeks now, but here's the car. It's pretty unassuming, big body, twin turbo V8. And the exciting thing about this particular car is it's got a Rentec tune on it. So it's been turned up a little bit more. Makes boost a little faster, makes a little more boost, and we'll see how it drives. So these are coolant pipes for the turbo, and they often break. So there's a big chunk of that missing here. Brake drain removal, so that's what that one's supposed to look like. But broke on the other end. So those are super common to add on a repair. And then this is all of the replacement parts that were a bunch of various O-rings and one-time use bolts and that sort of deal. Just kind of get an idea of how big this repair really was. You start seeing all these miscellaneous little parts left over that are been replaced.